This is the second game of the June '07 exam. Here are the scenario and the rules. If you're watching this on YouTube and would like to try the entire game on your own before watching the video, please check out the links below. Otherwise, if you want to try your hand at setting up this game before we discuss it, please pause this video here and resume when you're ready. Here we have an ordering game with three elements, films G, H, and L, that can go in any of three different days, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. We also know that each element must be placed at least once, and that on any given day we can have a minimum of one film and a maximum of 3 films that play. We can write out the elements and set up our board like this. We can place the positions in a row to represent order, and separate them out in terms of days. Note that we also know going in that not all the positions are going to be filled, and on a related note, we know that this game is going to require certain numerical inferences from us. The first rule tells us that H is the last film on Thursday, and we can represent that rule by putting H into the final position for Thursday. We can represent the second rule by putting G/L into the last position for Friday. Note that because we can't have both play on Friday, we can make an inference that at most 2 films play on Friday and cross out one of the positions. We can represent the final rule by putting GH into the last position for Saturday. Again, because both can't play, we can make an inference that at most 2 films play on Saturday and cross out one of the positions there as well. So that's it for the rules. We haven't been told a whole lot, and our diagram gives us a very manageable handle on the situation. If we just pause for a minute to consider what inferences we can make before moving on to the questions, note that there isn't a whole lot to consider for Thursday, which is wide open. For Friday, we have very limited options. Either G or L has to play last, and either H or no other element plays before it. We could represent that like so. Similarly, for Saturday, we know G or H must play last, and either L or nothing must play before it. We can represent this as well. And now that we've accounted for the other spots on Friday and Saturday, we can erase these not both labels, though you certainly don't have to on your own paper. Note that we could have made some additional frames here based on limited possibilities, but I thought the situation was simple enough and I chose not to. So that's it, and here's our final diagram. Let's go ahead and move on to the questions. Here's the first one. Go ahead and pause the video if you'd like to try it on your own before we go on to talk about it. This is what is discussed in the trainer as a rules question, or a question that asks for one possible arrangement of all of the elements into all of the positions per the rules that are given. Typically, you'll want to solve these questions by going down the list of rules one at a time, eliminating the answer choices that violate the given rule. The first rule tells us that H is shown on Thursday and that it's the last film shown on Thursday. So if we go down the list of answer choices, A doesn't seem to violate that rule, B doesn't violate that rule, and C doesn't violate that rule, but D does. And so we can eliminate D, and E seems fine based on that. The second rule tells us that on Friday, either G or L has to be last, and also that you can't have both of them on Friday. So going down our list of answer choices, A seems fine. Notice B violates this rule because it has G and L both on Friday, so we can eliminate B. C is okay, but E has problems because it has someone after Limelight. So we can eliminate answer choice E as well, based on the second rule. The last rule tells us that on Saturday, we have to have either G or H and not both, and that G or H has to be last. Unfortunately, this last rule doesn't allow us to eliminate either of the remaining answer choices. However, looking back at A carefully, we can spot that it doesn't list all 3 films. And since we know that they all must play at least once, we know A can't be true. That leaves us with C as the remaining and correct answer. Here's question number 7. Again, pause the video if you'd like to try it on your own before we discuss. Here we're asked which of the following answer choices cannot be true. A tells us Harvest is the last film shown on each day of the festival. We know this can't be true because H cannot be last on Friday. G or L has to be. So, A is the correct answer. Now, if you were certain of that answer, you could select it and move on. If you weren't certain, you could check that each of the remaining answer choices could work in the diagram, and in fact, they all can. Here's question number 8. Here, we're looking to fit in a maximum number of elements per this given condition that L never appears again after even the first G. Since we want to try and fit in as many elements as possible, it makes sense to try a couple of options at the extremes. One, maybe trying to put G as late as possible so that we can fit in as many L's as we can. Or the reverse, putting G early to try to get in as many G's as we can. The latest we can hypothetically put the first G is the last position on Saturday. This would allow us to put an L in the other slot on Saturday, H and L in on Friday, and H and L in on Thursday. That allows us to fit in 6 elements. If we try to put G in early and maximize positions that way, we can have L, G, H on Thursday, HG on Friday, and G by itself on Saturday. That also gives us 6 elements total. There's no other way to get 7 elements in, and so we know 6 is the maximum, and D is the correct answer. Here's question number 9. If G is shown 3 times, we know it has to be shown on the final slot on Friday, the final slot on Saturday, as well as sometime on Thursday. If H is shown twice, it must have been shown on Friday, because we know it was already shown on Thursday and can't be shown on Saturday. If L is shown exactly once, we still have positions for it to be shown either on Thursday or on Saturday. With all those inferences made, A through D do not have to be true, but E must be, and so E is the correct answer. Here's question 10. If L is shown 3 times, it must be shown in the last position on Friday, the first position on Saturday, and at some point on Thursday. If H is shown twice, it can be shown on either Friday or Saturday, but not both, since we know it must be shown on Thursday. If G is shown exactly once, it must be shown on Thursday or Saturday, because L is now the last on Friday. So with all that said, we have L and G as options for the first film on Thursday, and so D is the correct answer. That's it. To try more games or to get more help preparing for the LSAT, please check out my other videos and the LSAT Trainer website. Thanks so much for watching, and take care.